कलये सुन्दराकारम् सदैकप्रियदर्शनम् अज्ञाननाशकं देवं सद्गुरुं मुरलीधरं सद्गुरुं मुरलीधरं मुरली मंडित करकमलं मुनिजन मोहनं व्यत्यस्तपादं वनमाला धारिणं प्रेम भक्तमण्डल नित्यकीर्तितं श्री प्रेमिकवरदम् आश्रयेऽहम्
Namaskaram to all. I'm Upasana Govindarajan, an artist. As part of Rise of Marghazhi, a virtual celebration all through the Divine Month, curated by Global Organization for Divinity USA, under the guidance of His Holiness Maharanyam Shri Shri Muralidhara Swamiji, we are delighted to present Parambarya Pokisham, a segment offering a peek into our rich traditions, to understand how they originated and to appreciate how they've been kept alive through the centuries and how they've evolved over time. So we have with us here today Sri Keshav Venkatragavan of Krishna for Today. He is a true Pokisham for us in the art world and also for those longing for a taste of the divine. His contribution, his ongoing contribution to Indian art is nothing short of phenomenal. With his daily Krishna paintings, he takes us closer to the divine as he takes on the journey himself. To me as an artist, he is my Manasika Guru. I've learned a lot from him. I continue to learn a lot from him. And he inspires so many artists like me. So today, by Guru Kripa, we have an opportunity to learn more from him, his experiences, his work, and the inspiration behind it. Namaskaram, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for doing this for us. Because this is part of the Rise of Marghazhi festival, I must ask you, what is Marghazhi to you? Does it evoke any memories from your younger days?
Yes, to a certain extent, because when we had our half-yearly exams, there was Marghazhi bhajans going on in our house. So we were always, we lived in Hyderabad until my schooling. So we had these Ekadashi, Marghazhi bhajans at home. And wherever it was, we went. I mean, there was a group of us with parents, we used to go. But actually, I didn't know anything about Marghazhi because I was not very comfortable with Tamil because I didn't learn Tamil. It was Hindi and Telugu. So the thing is, I did not know Tamil, and I learned Tamil on my own, and I started reading, and that's how I got to know. I don't know the grammatical parts. And then slowly the reading of the Bhagavatam and connecting it to Tirupavai and our Sampradaya to a certain extent, then we know there is a format you reach God. There is a protocol where you seek permission from everybody and you reach the final destination. And that is how we surrender. And in Bhagavatam, there is, it is related to this Katyayani Vratam.
Vratam, yeah.
And everybody, all the gopis started early, went to bathe in the Yamuna. They made a small mud figure of Katyayani and they prayed to her, asking her to make Krishna their husband. So this was the idea of Katyayani Vrat. So this was this Anukaranam, they say. This was done by Andal in Srivilliputtur, described in the Bhagavatam.
Right.
So to get there, it took a long time.
Yeah, that's so profound. So, because it takes so long to, like, so first you go through Krishna and then to Andal and then back to Krishna. So that's a beautiful journey. So, because you mentioned that, your introduction to Andal was probably through the Bhagavatam. Could you just probably walk us through your journey through the Bhagavatam?
Actually, when I started painting seriously, my subject was Rama, not Krishna. I'll start from there because because I wanted to know more on Ramayana. Right. I was inspired by Rama's ideals and reading his Ramayana from the Moolam. But my father used to go to a particular guru. He was called Purisai Swami. He used to be there in Tinagar, and he was the editor of Narasimha Priya, a religious monthly.
Oh yes.
I used to show my sketches to him. He sort of he gave it back to me. He was not very comfortable with that. I didn't know why. And there were so many times when my father used to go, I used to keep sending the sketches because I was afraid to face the guru. He was so, overpowering and sort of so much of reverence. So that's what but my father gave it back and I left it at that. He directed me to draw on Ramanuja and Deshika, which I did for Narasimha Priya. But then slowly he taught me about the Sampradaya aspects. Slowly, I used to know. I used to sketch for Narasimha Priya. So because I didn't know all this earlier. Then what happened is, at a later stage, he just told me 3 words. He said, "Say, go and draw Krishna." This was what he said. This was my Upadesham. This was my guidance. This was my everything. So that's when I started Krishna. Actually, I did not know Krishna. Because we have heard little bit about Krishna, which did not appeal to me. All that was said. But he said this. So I took that as a sort of a code. And I followed it religiously. That's when I started Krishna and I started drawing and to know more about him. And that's when Bhagavata came in. Incidentally, we had a Bhagavata Saptahams at home in Hyderabad and we used to go there. So the storytelling, which was, we didn't listen and because we were kids, we were not that much conversant with these stories and all. But I used to watch them at home. How they treated the Vigraha, how they did the Saptaham was, it was an eye-opening thing. What they tell in the stories is different, but how they tell is quite important.
Right.
These sort of small details was embedded in me. I did not know that. But when he said, this Swami said, you draw Krishna, I thought I just connected the dots. So then I started Krishna. And to know more about him, I read the Bhagavatam again and again. Instead of taking notes and words, I used to sketch. So this was my journey into Krishna. that's how it began, and it took me a lot of time to understand. There were good books along the way, good people along the way who helped me make it through. So that's how it happened.
It's really amazing to know that there's so much to, how you got into the Bhagavatam. It's really amazing because the role of a guru, it's so
Yeah,
important, right? Especially when you say that the idea of Krishna didn't appeal to you earlier, and then a
yes,
guru had to come in and guide
yeah,
you in the right direction. That
yes.
is something I would say that's a miracle,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
I would also like to include the role of Periva there, because that is another inspiration where he'll strip you down to the last, where your identity will be totally dissolved. That is Mahaperiva. He was instrumental in guiding me because my thoughts had to change, my character had to change. We thought this was a big task, big achievement, and all that. Uh, he will dumb you down to nothing. So that's the role of gurus, and I was fortunate to have such great gurus with me.
Anyway, coming back to the Katyayana Vratam, could you elaborate a little bit on the symbolism of the relationship of the gopis with Krishna? Yeah, please go
Gopis
on. Yeah.
intuitively knew that he
Mhm,
was the supreme, and they have absolutely no ambiguity
mhm,
that this is where we have to go. That is the goal. They were absolutely sure. It did not matter to them what age they were. They were in different ages. Yashoda was also a Gopika, Radha was also a Gopika,
mm,
everybody was a Gopika. So there was no age difference. Everybody had their own family,
mhm,
but Krishna had to be reached. In the Narada Bhakti Sutra, they say, one of the sutras says, what is the factors which make one a supreme bhakta?
mm,
Narada says it is Yatha Gopikanam. That is the height
mm,
with which Gopika reached that level. In fact, in some pravachans, they say this. See, they ask Krishna, you have, you will give moksham to Putana, you will give moksham to Yashoda, you will give moksham to everybody, irrespective of, you are giving moksham even to Kamsa, you give to Hiranyakashipu, everything. Now, we are we are training ourselves and we are sacrificing ourselves to reach you. What special can you give me? Say, Krishna says, I cannot repay you. I can only keep you on my head. So the gopis are all around his head, tightly hugging him. So he says, I can't repay your debt. I can't do anything for you. So that is Gopika. That is the ultimate of bhakti. So everybody has to be a gopi. That is the idea of Bhagavatam.
right.
And this is the Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam.
That's Katyayani Vratam.
Mhm,
And this is the Brahmana Patnis. The writer half is
uh-huh.
the Krishnavatara.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
in the lefter half is the earlier, the Purvanga, where you had this Vishnu Chatushloki and the other Kali Nigraham and Mahatmyam, the
Uh-huh.
avatars, all those are here.
Right.
Here is Parikshit, Shuka and Parikshit here, and this Narasimha Avatara, Gajendra, etc. This is the central piece.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then here also you can see that Vajanti Mala and all this.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so there are the Krishna Avatara is all around. It will go like this to up to here, and from there at the top, that is also there that Narada comes in Kuchela,
Right.
Ashtabhuja Narayana, that is Dattatreya, and this is Uddhava Gita, that is the
Oh, the,
last. So it ends like that. It looks ad hoc, and no, there is a design to it. See, there is here you divide this canvas in two diagonals,
Diagonally.
and the center piece is the nabi. It is always like that, pure center. That is how it is done. So, and each picture is composed in triangles, like this.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So this is Prithu Maharaja. This is Jadabharata and Rahuganan. This is Bharata. This is Ajamila.
Oh yeah, I
Like
see the triangles. Oh yes.
it is like this. This is Atri, Anasuya. This is Puranjana Upakhyanam. Like that, each one. This is Kali Nigraham. There is Mahatmyam Bhakti, Jnanam and Vairagya. Narada gives Upadesha to them. So everything is composed in triangles.
Is
Here
there a
also.
specific reason for that to use triangles as the, the shape that you want to go with for the composition within the composition?
It is always a triangle. It gives you calm and peace. That is why even in buildings, the triangle is the main theme. Even in Greek architecture, you have this triangle.
Right.
So usually this triangle is the way it is composed. And even the tattvam, the philosophy of yoga, the inverted triangle is the jivatma, and this straight triangle is the paramatma. That is what we have even now. We draw this columns. It
Oh
is
yes. Yeah.
this. It is that, because everything is symbolic in our culture. So everything, we have to know the meaning behind this, and it is ingrained in our culture. That is, we need not learn anything, because for us in this Indian art, we all have signs. Symbolism is ingrained. And for example, in Natyam and art go together always, because instead of speaking, we always communicate through mudras.
That brings me to this question about in visual art, you can go back to it, especially in this age of social media. You can keep going back to it. So at every time, what I've noticed about your paintings is each time I see it, I see a different. I look at it in a different way. So when you approach Krishna, also, you look at Krishna through a kaleidoscope of sorts, right? Every your Krishna is constant, but the way you look at him every day, it changes. How does that happen?
No, actually, he does not change. We change. We know more about him. No? We can't grasp him. We don't know him. He's the infinite. See, if the mortal brain can gather him and understand him, he will not be infinite, because he is like the horizon. You keep learning. You can have hundreds of lives, janmas, thousands, lakhs. Difficult to understand him. Once he gets you, he's a magnet. Once he gets you, he won't leave you. That is the beauty of Krishna.
Right.
Krishna, Darshati iti Krishna. He attracts.
I think this is pretty much what Andal also, from the little that I understand from her poetry, uh, it's the it's the attracting nature of Krishna that is extolled in the pasarams as well. So much like the Bhagavatam, Andal's poetry also has a lot of layers, right?
Yes.
So every year when you do the artwork for the pasurams, it's different, right? So how has that experience been?
So there are layers. So first time I did, it was illustrative. But then slowly, you know that it is not what she is saying. It is not a literal uh, explanation. It is the idea of Krishna Anubhava. It is
Right.
the feel of Krishna and how to approach him. So that is the protocol. So you have to surrender, and there is a way to go about it. She says, சீரி அருளாதே சிறுபேர் அழைத்தனவும் சீரி அருளாதே. It means when we say Krishna, Narayana Govinda, he doesn't like it. He wants அந்த செல்ல பேர், Kanha, Kanna.
Mm.
He wants that. He wants to be one amongst you. You're alienating me. That is what Krishna says.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
So that is a layering which you come to know in 5 years. I've done it for 5 years since
Mm-hmm.
2015.
Mm-hmm.
Time the anubhavam was different. In fact, in one I showed Andal diving into Vishnu.
Wow.
Actually, it literally driving into Krishna anubhavam.
During Margari, is your Krishnanubhavam in any way different than the other times, the other days that you draw Krishna?
Krishna anubhavam is not always the same. It's always
Uh-huh.
different. It is new.
Right.
And each day you draw Krishna. I have done the same Tribhanga Krishna
Mm-hmm.
thousands of times. Not
Wow.
once it could be repeated. It is different. The angles are different. How he stands is different. It is the same Tribhanga. And when you sit down to draw Tirupavai, there is a lot of reading that you have to
Mm-hmm.
spend. For the first year, in 2015, I spent
Wow.
14 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'll tell you very frankly that in the first year, during the 18th or 19th Pasuram, uh, I said, I can't do this. And I
Wow.
stopped. It was difficult to interpret what she was saying because it is, I knew it made sense, but visually interpreting that would be difficult. It is not possible. And it would give unnecessary interpretations and it will destroy the idea of Tirupavai itself. I stopped it. Until 12 o'clock, there was no post. And people, there are people who are,
I
they
think I
want,
remember this.
they want this. Uh, and they said, no, I said, it is very tricky for me. It is walking a tightrope. I'm not able to do this. I stopped it. Let me stop it. Let me understand more. I'll put it that way. But then there was a person, who said, I know what you're looking at. I can give you a simpler uh, explanation for that.
Mm-hmm.
Came down and immediately there was a book. I got the book from, I read that simple explanation and immediately everything got cleared up. I mean, the angle I was approaching was different. If
Mm-hmm.
you take another angle, but the same story, it would make sense. So it was that Lakshmi in Krishna's, what do you call, knee, she's sleeping there and
Mm-hmm.
not allowing him to get up or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I couldn't draw that. Now, uh, in that book, the explanation was he takes her directly to Ramayana, not Bhagavatam. He takes to
Uh-huh.
Ramayana. He says Rama was sleeping on Sita's lap. That Kakasuran episode.
Uh-huh.
Now it is the
Yes.
same idea conveyed differently, but the explanation is right.
Wow.
So this kind of thing. See, at that moment, people are coming to help you out. That is what I call Guru's grace, because it is not possible by you alone. There are
Right,
so
right.
many people who
Absolutely.
are writing, and I owe all my this knowledge to people who have helped me along the way.
It's really beautiful to know that, we see your artwork like every day. It's like a daily thing for us, just like it's a habit for you to create. We are also accustomed to seeing Krishna in a new uh, light every day. But to know that there's actually a whole, you know, a whole bunch of people making this happen, I think the output is just phenomenal because of that. All right. So, can we see some of your Pasuram paintings, sir? The Tirupavai paintings, if you have any nearby. So, something that intrigued you the most, probably the Pasuram that you found to be a little difficult initially, and then you were able to. Oh yeah. Oh, the Katyayani Vratam.
Katyayani.
Mm-hmm.
This Katyayani was done during the Devi series because Katyayani is also one of the Devis,
Devis, yeah.
and
Navadurgas,
I've
right?
used this during
Yeah.
class.
Uh-huh.
Katyayani is one of them, so I've used
Uh-huh.
that where she is Simhavakini,
Uh-huh.
and here you can see the gopis and all. Krishna is here.
Krishna.
So this is the Katyayani.
Uh-huh.
So and in fact in Twitter and all, for the first year,
Uh-huh.
um, I was progressing because after 1820, the last 10 are very tricky. It is very powerful and this canvas is huge. The
Right.
last 10 pasurams, the
Uh-huh.
canvas is
Uh-huh.
big. Uh, Now one person came, either Sharana, tomorrow is Sharanagati Pasuram.
Uh-huh.
So let me see if you can do that right. He challenged.
Oh. Wow.
I
Uh-huh.
didn't know that it was Sharanagati at that
Uh-huh.
point of time. I did not even
Uh-huh.
know that.
Okay.
So I said, okay, this is something big. So I have to be careful while doing it. And I started that. And I'll show you that Sharanagati. And he acknowledged that it was good.
Wow.
So this was the one. This was the
Oh yes.
all
Oh,
that.
this is under Ivulaga Malanda Edi Putri, right?
That Potri Pasuram
Uh-huh.
is the Sharanagati Pasuram because it was tricky putting all those poetry things together, all the
Right.
elements.
Right.
So this is that. For the first time, it was very tricky, and
Uh-huh.
slowly it evolved on its own. So Tirupavai is still a evolving story for me. It is not complete yet.
Like you said, the layers in it are so intricate. It's like a paradox. Like it makes Krishna so accessible to you, yet when you go deep into it, you're like, oh my God, என்னது இது அப்படின்ற மாதிரி இருக்கும் இல்லையா?
He's Saulabhyan, but he wants you to respect. See, Lakshmi is the one who is the who enables you to reach him. You
Right.
cannot bypass her. So Lakshmi Molamada Prapatti. Even in
Correct.
Sita, in Sita's case, adila, when Kakasuran comes and Rama uses that uh, Darpa, Brahmastram, he uses that
Mm-hmm.
Brahmastram to. Then Kakasuran comes and falls on his feet, and that force, uh, his heads are turned on the other side. So Sita, he turns that Kakasuran's head towards Rama's
Sudhya.
side,
Yeah.
so that she enables Prapatti. It is a very literal translation of what is Prapatti. It is
Prapatti.
the Lakshmi who enables Prapatti, and it is through her we have to go to him. So that there is a protocol. You'll have to go
Right.
the Dwarapalakas and the Nandagopas and then Balarama, and then slowly see this is the protocol. And so each one is a concept. We must understand that, and it is you have to keep listening uh, to try to understand. It is not black and white. There are so
Right.
many layers.
Sir, I have another question because you mentioned, a little while earlier that you had to be a little careful with your interpretation of any scripture or any shloka. So, how do you define that boundary of how far you want to experiment, how far you want to go with your experiment or your interpretation? Because now in the age of social media, criticism is like this. Just as much as the appreciation is very easy to get, criticism is also, people tend to call out things quickly. So how do you bridge, I mean, how do you find that balance of, okay, this is acceptable and this is not, so let me just stick to this. So how do you define that boundary?
No, that criticism will always be there, but if the conviction should be there, what you're doing
Right.
right. So you don't
Yes.
cross some barriers just to hurt somebody. We don't do that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hurt anybody. Only the interpretation is wrong. But when you're interpreting, you should
Mm-hmm.
be careful that you're not going overboard.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our sculptures
Mm-hmm.
from so many. That is the entire East
Mm-hmm.
up to Angkor Wat is filled with sculptures. In fact,
Right.
one of the explanations for the sculptures was from a person from China. So
Wow. Mm-hmm.
they're watching. We can't go wrong. They will tell us. In fact, I
Uh-huh.
will say the readers are very charitable. They don't make unnecessary criticism.
A couple of last questions. So, what would your advice be for other artists or budding artists who want to work on, these themes, like spiritual themes? What would your advice for artists like us be?
And while on the subject, I like your work, so it is
Thank you
so
so much.
good.
Thank you so
The,
much. It means a lot coming from you.
Shiva and Parvati,
Uh-huh.
really, no, we have to encourage new things.
Uh-huh.
We can't be stuck with the same old pattern. It's a done and dusted kind of thing. It is they're always. That is why the idea of new forever. You
Right.
say Nitya Nutana is his name. So even in Suprabhatam you have that Nitya Nutana concept.
Mm-hmm.
Every Nityotsav, and when there is Nityotsavam, every day he has to present himself in a new dress, new costume, he's new. So he can be anywhere in the world, anywhere in the universe. So he's Ananda. So that is a concept again. So Ananda is for everyone. He is not relegated to a geographical boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna is universal. He is not in Gujarat or Braj or no, it is not that. When he's Vraj is in India and India is in the world, so the entire Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the entire universe is one. That is what Bhagavata says.
உங்ககிட்ட பேசுறச்சேவே I know I'm like, this conversation, it could keep going, but I'm glad that it keeps going every day through your art. Like உங்ககிட்ட பேசுறச்சேவே the calm that you exude, அது எல்லாமே வந்து அப்படியே நேர கிருஷ்ணரே like he's talking to us through youன்ற மாதிரி இருக்கு.
அது கூட சொல்லலாம். என்ன in the Gita he says Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. You are only an instrument. I already, when I blew the பாஞ்சஜன்ய ஊதரிச்சு அவன் உயிரெல்லாம் போயிடுச்சு. நீ அவனை அடிச்சுட்டு நீ பேர் வாங்கிக்கோ. You take the credit. That's what we all are. We are doing nothing.
சார், என்ன சார் சொல்றது, எனக்கு வார்த்தை இல்ல நிஜமா. I try so hard to collect my thoughts, my words, but பேச எனக்கு வந்து I just want to keep quiet. I want to keep, like just take in everything that you have to say. Like இதுக்கு மேல questions எப்படி இருக்க முடியும்ன்ற மாதிரி இருக்கு எனக்கு.
Ask what you need to let me tell what I need.
That is, அது உங்களோட kindness, that is your kindness, that is, the grace that you exude. Anyway, sir, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for doing this again. உங்களுக்கு just the way how you experience Krishna every day, எங்களுக்கு daily மார்கழி daily எங்களுக்கு கிருஷ்ண அனுபவம் இருந்துட்டே இருக்கு, thanks to you. So I just pray for you, for your family. Thank you so much. Please keep blessing us through all the artwork that you do. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.